get started, I will be very brief here. I just got the hand gesture from Coach Eigner. I'm supposed to shorten up my portion of the meeting. I'm Brad Konik. I'm the North Association head coach. I think most of you are familiar with me and my role, but I'll just quickly reiterate. Basically, I oversee the selection of coaches. I work with the coaches throughout the year, and I also function as a liaison for the parents. And I think that's maybe one thing that isn't taken advantage of enough, and I would highly encourage parents, if they have questions, issues, concerns that they don't feel comfortable in addressing with their coach, I definitely think, or I highly suggest that you come and talk to me, and we'll try to create a solution, potentially, setting up appropriate meetings and conversations to address the issues. It does no good, really, for me or the rest of the HDC or the board to hear the complaints after the season. It maybe affects a bit as far as the selection of coaches for the following year, but the best time to do it and the best time for us to take corrective action would be actually during the year. I'm an advocate, we're an advocate for both the parents and the coaches, so that's not to say every time a parent comes, we're going to agree with you, but we're going to hear you out, we're going to investigate the issue and take action accordingly. So other than that, I also serve as a liaison between Coach Eigner and the youth coaches. We try to have monthly to bi-monthly meetings throughout the season so that Coach Eigner can keep a pulse on how things are going and help coaches along with any issues that they're facing throughout the season. So without further ado, I'll pass it on to Coach Eigner.
All right, thanks guys. I'm reliant on my phone here for my notes. I appreciate you coming up. I guess this is a first for this meeting this time of year, but I'm in my 5th year here at North, and hopefully I've learned a little bit over time. I know that I fully understand one of the most challenging things for me as the high school coach is any type of direct communication with parents. It's very difficult to achieve or accomplish in a meeting of any kind over the years. And your parents and your kids are your greatest asset. You can't, email's email, but it's generally great to be able to actually talk to people. For some of you, I've probably coached your kid 300 times, but I haven't met you. So that part of it is a challenge. So I'm grateful when you do take the time, and I know it's challenging. I have my 6 at home too, so I understand that. The timing of the meeting is kind of, this is the time of year where I've had a chance to digest parent surveys, end of the year meetings with coaches at every level. I've also gotten the opportunity to deal with people in other associations, other coaches. I've dealt with some USHL stuff, and it's kind of a lot of hockey going on that I can squeeze down and then get my thoughts clear and kind of formulate how we're going to proceed again the next year. So just, if you haven't met me, I'm Trent Eigner, the head coach at Lakeville North, if you don't know me. My role in terms of LHA is kind of that of a figurative leadership role, helping the actual board members, the hockey development committee, formulate a plan, for most of the hockey related stuff. I have no desire to take care of the pull tabs or know anything about hockey associations, period. So I'm grateful for that. But in that, I kind of feel somewhat responsible for kind of molding, guiding the direction of the program, helping kids that aspire to ultimately maybe play high school hockey or beyond, achieve those dreams. And I guess, obviously, if you know me, you know I have a passion for doing that. The illustrious job of high school coach pays a whopping $4,900, so it's about $1 an hour for the season. So you obviously love it if you do it, which I do. But when I got the job, let's be honest, I wanted to build a great hockey program, okay? And I guess my ideas of that are my ideas of that. But given that sports is the success is largely measured in wins and losses, you have to at some point be successful on the ice or on the field or on the gym, I guess, to achieve that. And whether you want to argue one way or the other how important winning is, I don't think there's any arguing that competing is important, okay? Because I fully understand that the ratio of the kids that I coach in the summer, spring, or fall that come through the program to the amount of kids that actually play for me is small. It's finite, okay? But it doesn't mean that there's any less importance in how we coach, mentor, and teach these kids in terms of hockey. And if they've played hockey to this point, meaning the Bantam level, they've probably got 8, 9, 10 years of hockey under their belt. So they're obviously passionate about it, or they wouldn't do it anymore. So I don't ever feel any need to apologize for my passion towards the game or my passion to be part of a great hockey program or to mentor kids and help kids achieve things in any way, shape, or form. But with that, obviously comes challenges, okay? Because I'm in charge of the dreaded tryout process, which in sports is probably the least appreciated thing from any parent. But I look at that as an opportunity to help facilitate a process the right way, I feel. And when I say the right way, does that mean I'm not going to have multiple parent meetings every third week in October? No, I'm gonna, for sure, but it's not going to deter me from doing what I think is right for the program. And one of the things I think that's important to understand is that right off the hop, in my role, okay, I'm in somewhat of a juxtaposition to a parent because I have to view things program first, team second, individual third. And for most parents, what's most important is their player, son or daughter, first, then the team, then the program, okay? And I don't mean that in a demeaning way, right? As a parent, you look out for your child, and that's generally how things are viewed. So, with that being said, I understand that there will never be a perfect scenario in terms of making teams, cutting kids. There never will be, right? But I'll always make the decision that's best for the program first, the team second, and the individual third, including Trent, okay? If the program dictates that I have to cut my son, then that's what I have to do, okay? I have a goalie in our program, the high school level. Prior to this, the 2 years prior to, we've had exceptional goalies move into the program, okay? Pushing my own son further down the depth chart, okay? But one could argue that those goalies moving in was great for the program, and they had a right to move into Lakeville North. They lived here and wanted to be a part of the program. So those things happen, and I fully understand. Okay, I also have kids in the youth program. Okay, I have 2 B squirts. All right, so they've gone through an evaluation process. Like many kids, or most kids, they probably wanted to make the A team, and they didn't. Okay, which was just fine. They're at home, healthy. They're all good. But I know the challenges that come with that. Okay, and then there's also the challenge of finding a balance between how much do we value winning and competing, okay, versus having a good time and having fun. And it's not for me to decide for you individually in your household or in your family what's important, but I do have to decide for our program and chart a course based on that, okay? At the high school level, okay, we tell our kids, you know, faith, family, education, in any order. Those things should fall above hockey right after that. I hope hockey's a priority, okay? I actually hope hockey's above the girlfriend and video games and all those things. I actually do. I hope it's right there, okay? Because it forces them to make good decisions away from the rink in social settings. It forces them to put down video games and train, okay? It forces them to understand what it means to win and lose, what it means to compete every day, okay? Things that are really, really valuable in my mind, okay? And I have to do that over the landscape of an entire program, okay? From high school down to squirts. Not that I run the program or that I run LHA or make any concrete decisions for LHA, okay? But as I guess a visionary and a hopeful coach of a great program, I guess I have to motivate that and pour my passion into doing that and hope that we continue to grow that, okay? Because we have realistic things that we deal with in LHA and realistic things that we deal with in hockey, okay? And a realistic thing would be a number, okay, that we put on a board at the beginning of tryouts. And roughly this year for Bantams, it'll be 70-ish, okay? And then you go to Eigner and that number's 207. And you go to Minnetonka and that number's 224. And why is that? It's 234, okay? And those are the numbers that we'll have to go compete against, okay? Those are the type of communities we compete against. Those are the teams we put on our schedule, okay? And so those are realistic numbers, all right? So to argue that we're at a slight disadvantage against some of those teams would be a fair argument, okay? They have 3-to-1 players to us. So should they have better players? They certainly have more to choose from, okay? And if you're going to look at the demographic in those communities, they probably have the disposable income to train all they want and hire private trainers and all those other things, okay? Those are just realities. I don't make those things up. Those are just the realities that exist, okay? But one program has won more games over the past 3 years than any program in the state. Okay? That's the group with 76 Bantams this year from Lakeville North, all right? And for various reasons, you could argue why that's happened or why it hasn't happened or whatever, but it's happened, okay? And we've had that success based on what I think are some intangible things that all of you guys would teach your kids, okay? Work ethic, discipline, okay? Commitment, all those different things. Competitiveness, okay? And let's be honest. I mean, I go watch our youth teams play quite frequently, okay? To see how they do, okay? And when it started out, my first group that I got to watch was a team that was a 17th ranked Bantam team in the state, okay? That had some kids that you guys would know that then ultimately won a championship and went 31-0. But 17th ranked is as high as they could get, okay? So they weren't like just handed the high school state tournament, right? They had to work for it. But they were filled with intangibles, okay? And I think with the success of a program, everyone wants to talk about, oh, you won 31 games, or you won a state championship, okay? And I love it when people talk about the fact, okay, that we had 11 National Honor Society kids on that team, okay? We've had 12 Division I scholarships in the past 3 years. We've had 0 chemical violations in our program in 4 years, okay? Meaning we haven't lost a kid to smoking or chewing or drinking, all right? And to me, as a parent, those things are awesome, really cool things. I have a great desire for my children to be a part of that program for those reasons, okay? And you can argue, which I talk to people about, is it the chicken or the egg, okay? So are you fortunate enough to beat a good team and then you're good, or do you believe you're good and then you can beat good teams? What happens first, okay? And so are those great things a byproduct of a good program, or you know, was the program so good that it just attracted all these great kids to it, okay? Because it was a 500 program prior to that, all right? And I think there is value in competing. I think there's value in having a passion for something and setting goals, okay? To have an average anything doesn't take much work, okay? Thus the word average, okay? And that word is, you know, can be correlated to words like middle of the row or mediocre, okay? And I don't think as parents, you guys push your kids out the door and, you know, you didn't tell Ian, go get some average grades, Ian, and we'll come home and celebrate, right? No, that's never what you tell your kids to do. I don't tell mine, not that, you know, all of mine will be straight A students or go to med school or whatever. But that's not the aspirations you have, okay? And that's not how you teach kids, you know? If we wanted to have an average hockey program, I wouldn't be here right now, okay? I'd be watching the NHL playoffs, and you guys would be at home watching The Voice or whatever, and we wouldn't be here, okay, on a beautiful night. But we are, okay? Because a part of me truly enjoys the success that kids have in hockey, which I'm passionate about. I truly enjoy winning, way more than losing, honestly, I do. For every time we drop the puck, I would much rather win than lose, okay? Now, again, I can't tell you where that has to rate in your child's life or in your life, but I do know the realities that exist, okay, when your program gets to where we've got. It becomes very competitive, okay? And over the years of evaluating kids, okay, where do we rate those intangibles, okay? Because I've been with and around parents that have said, oh, 6 hours is not enough to pick a team, okay? All you do is skills. You never scrimmage. All you do is scrimmage. You never do skills, okay? What do you know, you know? Okay, so there's no perfect process, but I do know this, that in all the processes that are suggested to me, no one ever says, well, what score do you give for hard work, or character, or discipline, or work ethic? There are no scores for that, right? That would just be me going, well, I've had that kid for 5 years, he's lazy. Right? I do what I'm supposed to, right? I get 5 evaluators, okay, that aren't from Lakeville. They don't have kids that play in Lakeville, okay? They've played hockey either at the pro or college level. Okay, they're qualified. But when the kids come out, all they do is see penny numbers, right? So if I took any one of you to any hobby or sport that you know something about, and just sat you down and said, well, tell me the best horse, right? They're going to run across here. Which one's the best? Which one's worth the most money, okay? Well, you might be right, you might be wrong. But they watch, okay? They do the best they can, they evaluate, right? And then the scores spit out, and that's it, right? And whether we all agree if that's the right process or not, that's the process, right? I don't make it for LHA. I don't write the bylaws, okay? I just kind of mentor the process along, make sure we have qualified people, and do the best we can, okay? But I've seen situations that I know, okay? Because especially with this age group, okay, I've had some of these kids 4 summers, 4 falls, 4 springs, you know, whatever. And the scores come out and they are what they are, and I can tell you when a situation's not going to go well, right? Either a kid has had a very good week, okay, but he's got lackluster work ethic at best, okay, and he gets on a team, and he's going to be on the bottom half of that team. He's not a real competitive kid, and the situation's not going to be good, okay? I've also seen really good kids, okay, have bad weeks, okay, and they end up on a team where they're clearly the best athlete on the team, and their motivation goes, and their interest level goes, okay? So in that process, we're trying to create a likability group, right, that would force you to compete, and within that group, you're comfortable enough, you're not in over your head where you're not afraid to work hard and try to improve, you know, like they do in school, right? They create reading groups, and this is the math group over here, this is the green and blue, right, because they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. You're in the green math group, okay, right, because they want to put people in situations to succeed, okay, and I think largely educators are, study that stuff, so they might know what they're doing. We try to do that with hockey. It's nothing personal, right? I didn't make the name AA team. I didn't come up with that. Or B or C, okay? It wasn't my decision, okay? But they do exist, right? And what they are is likability groups, like anything else. Those kids are pretty similar. They're probably going to fall in this area, and then, okay? And there might be some mistakes in between there, but, you know, they happen, okay? And so, with that, I know that process is never going to be perfect, okay? But we will try to continue, okay, to do the best we can with that. But it concerns me, okay, when, you know, a lot of the things that I've seen that are really important, not only in athletes, but in good kids, okay? And I've had kids in here, families, I've had kids that were big parts of my teams, I've had kids that I've cut, okay? But I've seen a bunch of kids, okay? I've seen an Ian Klotz, I've seen a Roman Rohrbach, I've seen an Angelo Altavilla, okay? I've seen really good kids, okay? And they've had characteristics that were similar, okay? They could balance school, right? They could work hard and commit to being on a team. They could have success on and off the field, okay? So those things don't play any role in the way we pick teams, all the way up to Bantams. And that's kind of concerning to me, right? Not that I'm going to change the process, but I want you to understand that I've seen this group of kids come through. Okay? We haven't had a ton of success at this age group on the ice. not a ton of success, okay? So the old coach has to ask the kids, and I've asked the kids that have been on the ice with me that are this age, you know, if they've watched our high school team, they'll say, yeah, watch them. You like some of the kids on that team? Yeah, they can tell me a bunch of the players. They know we went 31-0. They saw us on hockey day last year. Okay? And they know all these things about our program. And then I ask them, well, you've been on the ice with me a lot, right? Yeah, well, coach, I feel like I know you pretty good. I've been on the ice a bunch with you. Every camp, I've done every camp you've had. Okay? I said, well, do you think, you know, do I strike you as the kind of guy who's just going to start, you know, just like be okay with losing for the next 3 years? Like maybe we'll win 5 games or 10 games. No way, not you, coach. Okay, well, at least they got a good read on me, right? Because I am very competitive. I want our program, okay, to continue to be competitive. I think that's a great thing in any field, any walk of life, okay, versus being average. And that seems to be missing a little bit from this group. Okay? And I think it's the best thing to always communicate honestly when you have a concern with people is, I don't think it's fair. I would much rather take a kid who's in my program, okay, or a group of kids that's in my program, and share with them my thoughts. Give them the opportunity to get better. Give them the opportunity to improve. Because if they aspire to play for my team, I want to give them the best chance. Rather than say nothing, and then have them come to my program and the door just slams them in the face, right? Because they had no idea of how competitive it is. Because maybe they were in a little vacuum of a group of kids that weren't very competitive, or whatever anomaly you want to say happened, okay? And that's part of the reason why I decide to have meetings like this, because I want to be proactive, okay? And I want to give kids a great opportunity. And trust me, when you're a coach in anything, okay, and then if you're the head coach, even worse, when you do well, it's great. People tell you a lot of nice things, okay? But there's always, you know, those on the other side of the fence. If you win, it's because you recruit players. He only cares about winning, you know? It's you know. And when you lose, they want to get rid of you anyway. So you might as well win, okay? Because if you lose, they got to fire that guy. You can't win. And you win, you only not doing all the right things. But my point is that I'm extremely competitive. I try to do the best I can with this program. I'm super passionate about it, okay? And I have kids in it, okay? And so it's not to say that when I look through information or I meet with coaches and I look at surveys and I identify things that seem to come up over and over, why not address them, okay? And so for the first time in my 5 years, okay, and the first time in his 11 years of coaching, my Bantam AA coach came to me and said, you're not going to believe this. I do goals at the beginning of the year every year. And this year's team, their goal was to go 500. To go 500. A Lakeville North hockey team, right? I was like, oh, that kills a guy like me. I wanted to go 500. I just wondered why, right? Why would that be anyone's goal? Hey, but maybe they've struggled all along, you know? I didn't dig back in the annals of their Mike career or anything, but, you know, maybe they've struggled. I don't know why. But that was the goal, right? And so, you know, I know me, like, so those kids are going to come play for me? We better get on the same page, right? We're going to have a hard time communicating if they just want to go 500. Because that means every other time you play, you lose. And losing stinks. Right? It's not as much fun as winning. So, whether it's the compete level that we need to work on or how we need to address it, I always prefer to have the buy-in of the parents, right? If someone came to me and said, Trent, I just disagree with that. I think you're completely wrong. Then we'll sit down and have a conversation. I'm okay with that, okay? But I also understand that, you know, first of all, I came from a split home, okay? So I was raised by my grandfather and my mother, okay? But can you imagine bridging the generational gap? Okay, it gets, the farther you get away from it, okay? My grandpa took one job when he was 17 for the railroad and worked for the same company his whole life until he was 55 and retired, okay? This is the guy who took me to sports. So how lovey and huggy and sensitive do you think he was, okay? Like, spade is spade, right? Go out there, play hard, win or lose, it's the end of it. No crying, right? But I also grew up in an era, okay, where just because you signed up for baseball, you didn't get a trophy. Imagine that, okay? One team would win, one team would lose, kick the dirt, the other team would get the trophy, okay? And I'm not here to tell you whether I'm right or wrong, or where you should value that. And I'm not here to share with you my political views, okay? But I do know this, that I've coached for a lot of years, and I've been around kids for a lot of years, and I think that society largely takes a more liberal view of things than they used to, okay? And I know that my own children have trophies in their closets, okay, that mean nothing to them because they didn't do anything to earn them. The season just ended. So that meant a trophy. A trophy. Now, if you're a hockey fan, which I assume most of you are, if you've seen a player, this is an adult who can be 37, 35 years old, win the Stanley Cup, they cry. They can barely contain themselves because of how difficult that was to earn. How many people have tried to do that and not been able to do it. Okay? That to me has some meaning. Okay? So, you know, I want to help this group to find that purpose in competition, if they can. Okay? And I understand that, trust me, with the success that our program has had, it has attracted players from other cities to want to come to Lakeville North. Can you believe it? Okay? It's not the first thing that I would want to happen, but is it logical that it does? Yeah, it is. It happens everywhere. You think every kid on the Eden Prairie football team is from Eden Prairie? No. Okay? Every kid on the Hopkins basketball team is from Hopkins? Right? The chicken or the egg? Right? Did they all go there? They just all decided one day, let's all go to Eden Prairie. Let's all go to Hopkins. No. They had a great program, which has attracted more good athletes to it. Right? What I love, you know, our 31-0 team had 31 kids from Lakeville. They just weren't all from North. There's a couple from the other side. Okay? But even that was rare, that they were all from the same city. For any state championship team. Hardly ever happens. Okay? So, to the best of my ability, a meeting like this is to inspire, maybe motivate these kids, help parents understand that it's super competitive. I want the best for their kids. Okay? But I have worked with this group for a long time. A long time. Okay? Seen all these kids skate. Know how they tape their stick, tie their skates, all that other stuff. Which ones shoot lefty, which ones shoot right. Who wears their tongues out of their socks, who tucks them in. You'd be amazed at what I know. I'm a hockey geek. Okay? But I know that they've also struggled to win hockey games and compete at a high level, okay, across the board in the age group. And I want that to change for them, right? But I think that that will take a level of commitment on their behalf, and maybe some positive coercion by their parents to get that out of them, okay? Because it doesn't largely seem to be just beaming from them, okay? And that's fine. It doesn't not make them in any way a bad kid, okay? But I also understand what they're up against when they come to try and play high school hockey, when it's super competitive. And I like I said, I hate to see kids' dreams smashed because they didn't understand what it would take to play. Right? That's a shame. Right? If they run out every ground ball the best they can and they just don't make it, then that is what it is. Right? I have kids. I don't know if they'll, you know, my little bombers will play high school hockey. I don't know. I got one guy, he's so slow. It's unbelievable. Quinn, do you ever break a sweat out there? What do you mean, Dad? But Dan, my goalie, he's good. He's a stud. So I share that with you guys because I do care. There was probably something in my notes that I missed that I was supposed to touch on. That's why I have Coach Konik here, because he went to Harvard. But anyway, you know, like I said, when I took the job, I had a desire to have a great hockey program because I came up, played sports like most of you, or some activity, and aspired to be on that, you know, Bloomington Jefferson team or Burnsville hockey team, you know, or something like that. So why not just have that team where you live? I live in Lakeville, so that's what I want to do. I want the kids to enjoy being a part of it. And again, it's never all about the AA kid, the A kid, the B kid, or the C kid, okay? Because when I go to coach a hockey game, okay, every single ref that coaches my high school games played hockey. They weren't all A players, B players, C players, right? Most youth coaches played hockey. Weren't all A players, B players, C players, right? There's a lot of good that comes from competing at whatever level you're at, okay? But I do see the value in competing, period, okay? Because these kids will understand that it is a good thing, right? Study hard for a test, get an A. Don't study, get a C. There you go. What do you want to do next time? Prepare for the interview, get the job. Don't. Sorry, chose someone else. Okay? They're Bantams, they're young men almost, so I think it's fair to be honest with them. And I want to see them have some success. I just can't stomach teams that have a goal to be 500. We just want to be right in the middle, Coach. Half sarcastically. So with that, are there any questions, concerns? The last thing I will tell you guys, you know, it always kills me when someone says, "Oh, I didn't know about your spring camp." You know, Konik will tell you, like, I'm with 6 kids. I'm not an IT genius, not organized, but I'm always accessible, right? And so, if you have any questions about how to navigate hockey in the off season or this, that, or the other, most people will tell you. I'm a huge supporter of multi-sport kids. I've prorated things for guys that are juggling stuff, but it just kills me when someone comes and says, "Oh, I had no idea, would have loved to do this or love to do that. I didn't know my kid could have got better doing this or done that." And you're right, you can. Right? It's super competitive these days. Very few athletes can just kind of take the whole off season off and just show up and be great. Right? So I want kids to play a lot of sports. I just hope one of them's hockey. So I'm 9 minutes under my time if anyone has questions. Comments? Coaches, did I forget anything?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I guess would just be, you know, as far as what are some resources or direction that you can give the parents and or these players as far as things that they can do between now and the beginning of next season to put themselves in a better position to find success?
Well, I guess, yeah, I mean, no one ever wants to raise their hand in a room and ask a question, so if you want to call me, you can. But his point was that, you know, maybe what are some things that kids can do. You know, obviously, you know, these kids in baseball jerseys, right? I mean, getting a batting cage in the off season, I mean, I can tell you that. It'll make you better. You have to work at it. You do. Right? And if you've played this long amongst this group of kids, you know, the kids kind of know where they fit in. You know, how many kids I got to get better to, you know, go here, go there. Just, you know, and what you want to get out of it, you know. If you want to spend all your time grinding on it, or if you just want to play for fun or whatever, that's not for me to decide, okay? But I do know that, you know, if you want to have a chance to play or be a part of the high school program, it's not like youth hockey. We don't have a team for everyone, right? I cut 40 kids last year, 36 kids, right? It just gets super competitive. So, you know, I'm guessing if you're playing, you know, NHL 2012, that ain't making you much better. At NHL 2012 it is, but at hockey, you have to train, right? And I'm way more available than any high school coach. I know that. I know I'm committed to that. So if a kid said, "Coach Eigner, can you help me out?" Yeah. Here, sit down. Do these 10 things, you'll be better. So I try to eliminate all the excuses that anyone would have for not getting good or not working at it. So Make sense?
Yep.
Like you, I can't help you.
And to your point, you said you're not organized. I would argue you're disorganized. A slight, significant difference.
Yeah. He called me a decent orator. I had to ask Siri what orator was. Not really. But to you kids, you know, the message is for you as much as the parents. I want you guys to have an opportunity. If you do aspire to play and be good, right? We've had a bunch of good ones and more scholarships than any program in the last 3 years. 13 Division I kids, okay? So, it's not, they didn't get lucky, those kids. They worked super hard at it, so.
Can I say one thing to the group?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, my name is Ryan Kraft, and one of the best pieces of advice that I ever received is, you can go do all these camps.
Hold on one sec, just so you guys, I mean, if you don't know, okay, he's just not a guy standing up to talk about hockey. Crafty was the captain of Minnesota for the Gophers and played professionally for what, a dozen years or so? Okay, so established hockey guy. Sorry to cut you off.
It's all right. Where was I?
Best advice.
He's a good talker. He knows what he's talking about too. Best advice I ever received, and this is directly to all the young hockey players in here. It's what you do when nobody's watching that makes the biggest difference. You know, you can go to all these camps, and I highly recommend going to these camps because when you're on the ice with him, he knows what he's doing and he's going to make you better. But it's what you do when nobody's watching that makes the biggest difference. Who's shooting pucks? Who's running sprints? Who's lifting weights? Who's on a slide board? Who's doing the things behind the scenes when nobody's telling you what to do? That's what's going to get you better, and that's what's going to move you up the list in that pecking order, so to speak, so that it gives you a chance to make that team that you want to make. And whether your goal is to make a AA team, an A team, a B1 team, whatever it is, it's what you do behind the scenes when nobody else is on top of you saying, do this, do that. You know, that's where you're going to learn the most about yourself and the most about your game and what your abilities truly are. So, just something to keep in mind when you're moving into the summer. There's opportunities to shoot, there's opportunities to run sprints. There's a great heel right out here. You know, I highly recommend getting out and doing some of those things because that's what will make the difference for you in the long run. So, good luck to all of you guys in the summer. And my email is not on the board, but it is on the website. I'm the Vice President of Development with LHA, and I offer my resources to any young man out there that wants. My passion, along with him, is to develop hockey players, and I would be more than happy to help this group in any way I can. So,
Young man or woman, Scott?
or woman, sorry.
Coach,
Yes.
I'm just gonna step on the limb and talk for most of the parents in the world. You know, you see a lot of baseball jerseys, you're gonna see some lacrosse jerseys. A lot of us are entering the time of the year where baseball's just starting. It's a battle for most of us to even get to this meeting, which is a great meeting, great presentation, by the way. Spring passing league for football is starting on Sunday nights. We're going to go through all that stuff until mid-July, and then football's hitting, and camps are starting. We're going to hit football practice in August. It would be great if there was some way for us to get these kids some stuff to do, something that you could document and hand out or put on a site or something that says if you want to get your hockey skills up to the level you need to be at for tryouts in October, these are the things we would be doing, even if it's not stuff that's on the ice. Love to attend your camp. It's tough to do when they got other sports, and I know all, Crafty, Konik, and Trent, you guys all value multi-sport athletes. It's tough to do when they're at other stuff all the time, especially if they've got siblings that are in soccer and other things. So it's a constant battle for a parent.
Yeah.
So if there's stuff they can do and stuff you could publish for them to focus on that could elevate their skill level for hockey, so that when they get to that October whatever time frame and they're hitting the ice for the first time maybe since March, hopefully not, that they're at a level where they're going to compete at a level that's going to give you a better sense of where they really belong on the ice.
Well, I'll work with Coach Konik on that, and I know, I mean, he'll have tons of resources in the USA Hockey stuff. I mean, just there's some basic, you know, I mean, Minnesota hockey camps, the Russian, I mean, a log jump is a log jump is a log jump. I mean, you know, you could do log jumps. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, yes, there's probably some things that we could put on the website, just, you know, that doesn't require him to show up to a camp, but yeah, just, you know, understand. I completely understand it, and that's why like I said, I try to be super proactive about having these conversations, because I can't, you know, I come to the fall, whether it's the youth evaluations or whether it's the high school, right? And I got X amount of days to decide who those best players are, and I don't have the luxury of going, you know, this guy only skated 17 times, this guy skated 47, right? And the kids don't have the luxury. Some of these kids that are multi-sport athletes will get to high school and they'll compete against a kid who plays hockey year-round for a spot, you know? And I mean, I wish that certainly wasn't the case when I was in high school, but it is now, right? And so I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. I just know that if you want to be a multi-sport athlete, or the parent of a multi-sport athlete, you're going to have to be very diligent about dedicating, like you said, snippets of time to each sport, so that you're not, even if you're in a maintenance mode, you know, where you just don't go, you know, like, and then, like you said, pop out on the ice and go, here I am, coach, you know. You know, and I don't know what the best strategy for that is, but I just know, like Krafty said, there's, you know, I mean, I tell my kids sometimes, it's like, you know, they call their buddy, they got 10 minutes in the garage, just grab your stick and a golf ball. Wait for your ride to pick you up, you know? You just got 500 reps in a stick handling. But some kid will certainly come and go, oh, I didn't have any time, coach. Well, you know, I don't make the rules. I'm just forced to evaluate and put the best kids out there, right? And trust me, in fairness to the, did I go over that program? Team individual?
Yes.
So there it is, right? I mean, when they try out, my order dictates that I take the best 20 kids, because that's what's best for the program. Even if it's not best for, you know, little John, who's 21. So, yeah, good point. You know, I know you guys juggle stuff, and like I said, I've worked out every scenario I think possible with every parent, right? My guy can only be there on Mondays or so-and-so. I don't think I've ever told anybody, no, absolutely not. Not doing that. Because I've had 5 years worth of, you know, multiply it times hundreds of kids, times hundreds of sports, of situations where somebody needed to, you know, I can only make it to 2 days a week. Can I do this? Can I do that? Can you prorate it? I've always worked with everybody because I want the kids, like I said, to have the best chance. So I know my summer stuff will be on the website tomorrow because I just sent
and then
them again.
Yeah, and we can put some stuff together for
you can put some stuff together.
Make it.
Yeah.
Some dry line stuff.
Well, and to go a little bit further on Paul's question, as far as finding documentation on what we would recommend, I guess where I would have you start as parents is sit down with your son and have him identify his weaknesses. You know, if he's not good with the puck, okay, well, identify that, and then either get a golf ball or a tennis ball and have him stick handle in the garage. I mean, there's some value to him sitting down with you and identifying those weaknesses so that, you know, number one, they get addressed, and number two, they get worked on. You know, you can always, there's always room for improvement in every skill in hockey, and I guess that's what makes our sport so unique and so special. You know, number one, you have to skate. Number two, you have to handle a puck. Number three, you have to be able to do both of them at the same time. Number four, you have to be able to shoot. Number five, you have to be able to think. I mean, there's a lot of different elements that go into our sport, but just sitting down with them and identifying one or two of those weaknesses and then coming up with some drills or some practice plans on your own will help him not only with the skill, but probably with the hockey sense as well. So that would be my first recommendation.
There you go. Anyway, we're definitely resources, all of us, if you need help, for sure, for sure. And I've had plenty of parents pull me aside and say, can you sit down with Johnny? I think he needs to hear it from you. And I've done it, for sure, for sure. Because I could go through that crowd of kids right there and give you a scouting report on all of them, for sure. So, it's not that difficult for me. All right, any other questions? I appreciate you bringing that up, for sure. If not, thank you guys for your time. I'm only 5 minutes over because of him. I was like 2 minutes under.
Thank you, everybody.